Hello and thank you for joining me today. Well, this is the Friday, May 23rd edition of our video devotionals. Thank you so much for joining us today and hope your Friday's going well. Thank you for watching. It is the end of another work week and school week and almost the end of the school year for especially the public school kids, but some schools are already out, but nonetheless, we're getting toward the end of the month of May, and there you go. Time is a-flying. Thank you for watching today. We appreciate all the comments, acknowledgments. Of course, the last 2 days, we did not have any videos up. We went from a tremendous revival. Let me say this real quick. Tremendous revival service on Tuesday night. I haven't been in a service maybe that as powerful as that, maybe ever, but certainly in a long time. We had over 30 preachers present in our church, besides the people that we had. Tremendous message from Brother Tony Finney. Just simply, we need Jesus in the house. And so just a powerful message. Thank you for praying, and we'll pray that it'll have lasting effects for sure. Then we left that morning early, went down to Christy's mom and dad to kind of do the Mother's Day / her dad's birthday, early Father's Day observance. So we got there, and about midday, I suppose it was midday or so on Wednesday, spent time with them. And then Thursday, got up, did some things, and then left by 1:30. I mean, we're talking about at their house probably about a 24-hour period of time, I guess, in which we were actually there. But had a good time, got a lot accomplished. And so, you know, that's the way it is sometimes. And then today I'm just hitting it hard trying to get ready for Sunday and get caught up from just being away 2 days. Sometimes 2 days can be a big deal, but we were glad to do it. Again, thank you for the prayers, for the revival, and we appreciate all of that. We're going to be in the book of Esther today. Find that if it is your custom. We're going to look at chapter 4. Just going to look at one verse here, give you a little bit of a backdrop, then look at verse 14, give you something I think that'll be of help to us. And let's go ahead and jump into it. All right, so the backdrop here, the book of Esther is about, it starts out the king Ahasuerus. He has this big, huge banquet, and then he calls his wife, the queen, to kind of parade her around. She says, I'm not going to do it. And the king gets mad. His leadership gets mad, said, you can't have this. You'll have wives everywhere doing stuff like this. So ends up, they said, we're going to get a new queen to replace her. So they end up, Esther, this little Jewish maid, becomes the queen. Mordecai raised her since her mom and dad had died. So I think they're cousins. There's a cousin relationship there. And so in the process, there's another man kind of pops up on the scene by the name of Haman. He gets exalted to a high position. Everybody's supposed to bow to him. Well, Mordecai says, I'm not going to bow to you. I'm a Jew. And so he finds out that he's a Jew. And he says, I'll kill your whole race then throughout the entire kingdom. And that was the decree made. So when that gets back to Esther through Mordecai, which is what we're about to read, then there's a decision that Mordecai says, you're going to have to make this decision. You're the queen now. You're the queen. And if anybody can make the decision, you can. But it wasn't customary for the queen to go in just unannounced to the king. Her life could have been taken. And but let's just read verse 14 and make that point. So here's Mordecai sending a message back to Esther. It says, for if thou altogether holdest thy peace at this time, in other words, you don't do anything, then shall their enlargement and deliverance arise to the Jews from another place. But thou and thy father's house shall be destroyed. And who knoweth whether thou art come to the kingdom for such a time as this? For such a time as this, we live, every time's got things going on, but here's our time. And you can look at the world stage. The thing about our time is you can literally know what's going on around the world. If there's somebody that's got a cell phone even, you can find out the events in every nook and corner of the world practically. Well, here in this time, the difference was the destruction of the Jews or not. Could something be made? Could something be done to change that? Well, it was eventually. But the question I have to ask you and ask myself is this. We live in this time. Whether or not we can make a difference on a world stage, that's we don't know. But we know this: in your home, in your church, in your community, you don't know whether or not God's called you to be the person to make a big difference, to save the lives of people, certainly in the spiritual sense. And you know how it is, if your church is like most churches and almost all churches, a very small minimum is the ones really doing the work in the church and really the ones that, I hate to use the word count on, but there's people that attend and that's fine. But then there's some people, they get in there and they're making the difference. And it's not just the pastor either. So are you going to be that kind of person in this day and age that we live, whether it be your family, whether it be your church or something going on? So the question is, who knoweth whether thou art come to the kingdom? In other words, you've been put in this position, Esther. Who knows whether or not God's put you there for just this reason? And that's the question we have to ask ourselves, but more importantly, what are we going to do about it? That's why it's always right to do right all the time. Why is that? Because if you're doing right, you always are going to make a difference, but you don't know, sometimes it becomes a decision that makes a difference in the lives of many, many people. And so let's pray that God will use us to be what we're supposed to be. And if we happen to be an Esther or something like that, then so be it. But one of the ways, the best to assure that you're going to make a difference is just do right all the time, and that'll take care of that. All right? Have a great day, safe day, healthy day. Have a great weekend, a great Sunday, and then, of course, Memorial Day is Monday. We'll do our best to try to get up a devotion on that date. It's possible we may not, so don't be surprised if I don't, but we'll try to. Otherwise, thank you for watching, and have a great day.